What do the most successful people have in common as far as their mindset? Whether they're an entrepreneur, an author, an athlete. I started this podcast a year ago to notice similarities among the most successful people in the world, and today I'm going to share with you guys what they are. When I originally started this podcast more than a year ago, I wanted to uncover what the world's most successful people have in common as far as their mindset. So I went out on a journey to find these people, talk to them, and interpret the information to make into this video today. Whether you listen to my episode with Chris Voss, whether you listen to my episode with UFC fighters, authors, etc., doesn't matter. Even if you're new, I welcome you to this episode because I'm going to be telling you guys all the commonalities that I've noticed among these extremely successful people. Let's get right into it. The first thing that I noticed, without a doubt, and even the most successful people say this, is they are regular people. Nobody is born inherently better or worse than other people. I know sometimes you have disadvantages when you're born. I know sometimes you might have advantages. But at the end of the day, we're all born as people. And the things that we do and the actions that we take make us into the people that we are. So many of the people that I've talked to on my podcast have brought up the point that if I can do it, so can you. They always emphasize this idea because they don't want to be treated like they're better than other people because they are the other people. They're in the same category as everybody else. They are just humans. And they always mention, if I can do it, so can you. I just got really good at one thing and I went full throttle right into it and I got it done and I achieved the thing that I wanted to do. And I love this idea so much because it gives so much hope for the people that are starting off. You know, as somebody who has this podcast, it's so good to know that even the world's most successful people, the people that are at the top of their category and their bracket, they still consider themselves normal. I have never heard somebody say on my podcast, oh, why am I good at this thing? Well, because I was born into it. I mean, my dad was already a billionaire, so I was already in a good spot. They all have amazing stories to tell. And if I ever do have a guest who says something like that, good for them. It makes their life a lot easier. But I want to argue that the story that they get to tell other people is not as good. I love hearing about the people up and coming, like Gary Schoninger. When I was talking to him, I had such a good conversation with him, and he was telling me how he started off with nothing. He had to drive trucks around, he had to do all these different things, and eventually he got his first signing. Somebody gave him $1 million worth of equipment. I understand. Oh, $1 million, he got lucky, this, that, whatever. Save that. Save those excuses for later, or scroll down on my videos and check them out because I have something for you. But nonetheless, I love hearing those stories because it goes to show you that everybody's been in a terrible spot starting off, but they just managed to make it work. And this is a really big idea that I've been thinking a lot about is this fact that when you're Andy Frisella talks about this, but when you're backed up against the corner and you have nowhere to go, the only thing you can do is push forward. And that's when you make the worst situations turn into the greatest opportunities. Now, for me personally, I cannot argue that my back is against the wall, right? I'm very fortunate in a lot of things in my life, so I do not have a constant survival mentality. However, I have been able to get opportunities that I have never and would never have been able to get with my guests, with things outside of my podcasts, only because I think about things differently. When you're in a situation that you have to do the thing, you don't have another choice, right? It sounds very self explanatory, but I'll give you an example. I started off my podcast in my dorm room last year. I understand that I'm in my dorm room right now, second year in the dorm room, but this is a different dorm room. Last year, I had barely any space. I didn't have good equipment. I have upgraded so much. I even have an Instagram post you guys can check out, and I have a before and after where I showed you guys what my equipment was looking like last year and how it looks now. Not only did I learn a lot, but just the opportunities that I was able to make have been incredible. And the thing is, I was able to talk to people even when I had a bad setup. I had to make it work because I didn't have another choice. And I would even argue that if I had a $10,000 studio, I would not be doing this because if I already have everything, there's nothing to climb, right? It's exciting for me to know, oh my God, maybe I'm going to, get a better mic soon, which I'm not because this is a birthday present for my brother. So, no, I'm joking. Better lighting, better editing. It's exciting to know that that's the future. However, if you buy everything and you already have everything to begin with, it's not fun because you've already achieved the thing you wanted to do. And yeah, you might want to talk to really good people, but it's not part of that story that you're able to tell. I mean, I love telling people. I had a pop filter. You could ask my friend Colton about this. And I was having an interview one time, and I attached a pop filter, which is the thing people put in front of their mics. I attached it to a gallon of water, the handle, just so it could stay here. And I have a picture of it, and it's just such a cool thing because it reminds you of the times when it was the hardest. And right now, it's not easy, right? But I have different means of access to people, equipment, and just expertise in general. Another thing that I have discovered, which is very good since I am a mindset podcast, people say mindset is everything. From Chris Voss to Nikolai Vretnikov to Mike Urso to Todd Bowerly, every single person I've spoken to have given me, every single person has given me this thought and told me that mindset is everything. Without mindset, you can't do anything. But with mindset, you could do anything. Mindset is the driving factor in your success. How you think about things, the opportunities that you make, how you go about things. It is the biggest thing. I can talk about it for so long. I bet you I can sit here and just ramble on. I'm not going to waste you guys' time, but the way that you see the world, and I've talked about this before, the scope that you see the world is the determining factor in the results that you get. If you're negative and you're cynical and you think everybody's against you, you're not going to get good results in your life. And even if you do somehow get good results, you are not going to be happy with them because the world's against you, right? You can't be happy until this happens. That's why it's important to be able to, have a bar, not set expectations too high, but if you do end up achieving stuff, making sure that you celebrate the wins and the goalpost doesn't keep moving. More episodes on this, don't worry about it. But man, mindset has just been such a big part. There have been times where I've even asked off camera, hey, so, we're going to be talking about mindset. How big of a role do you think mindset plays off camera? And they're like, dude, don't even tell me this. I want to say this for you guys, for your audience. I want to tell your audience how important mindset is. I don't want to tell you right now, so save the question. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, got it. Mindset is everything. I mean, the success that all of my guests are very diversified, which is something I like. Some of them are authors, some of them are entrepreneurs, like I said, athletes. It's a lot of different things, but they all have this one thing in common. It's so powerful. It's this idea that if you put your mind to something and you want something bad enough, you go out and you get it. And if somebody who's an author writing books about business can do it, and then somebody who's a fighter in the UFC can do it, and then a confidence coach can do it, you need to see the similarities. A lot of times you can get the same advice, but you never do anything about it because it's just words for you, right? You don't care. It's just, oh, yep, the person said the same thing. But you need to realize when people keep saying the same advice, it means something. One of the best examples of this is I hear people say money doesn't buy happiness. I've heard this so many times from so many different people that it's gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I've accepted it. I understand money doesn't buy happiness. Just understand that if everybody is saying these things and all these commonalities are coming together, there's a reason for it, and you need to take this advice and apply it to your life. It's one thing to listen to this podcast, but it's another thing to listen to it and then apply the things that you've learned. The next thing is consistency over everything. Social media often portrays endeavors of your life as a lot more positive reinforcement and fast wins than it actually is. Sometimes you have to go a very long time without getting wins, and you need to be okay with that. You need to know that you have to show up. It's about the inputs. Something that I really liked is I was listening to Andy Frisella. I've been listening a lot to him recently. I was just introduced to him, and he said that the results that you make today is not the person that you are. It's the inputs that you made yesterday. So if you want to become successful, right? A lot of people will achieve good things in their life because of the inputs that they made. If you worked 15 hours yesterday and the whole time you were reaching out to guests, and the next day you wake up and you have some guests who booked with you, you didn't get those bookings because you're an awesome guy. You got them because you just did 15 hours worth of work. And I know 15 hours is a crazy example. I mean, come on. You guys get it. I'm over-exaggerating, but that's just my point to begin with. Make it whatever time frame you want, 8 hours, 4 hours. Even over the long term, you can become this person, but you can only become the person after you get enough reps of it in. Some of the most successful people worked for years on end on their business and struggled and barely made it through, but they continue to say that the consistency is the number one thing. You have to show up, you have to be disciplined, and you have to be able to cut out distractions. Something very interesting that I've been trying to apply to my life is not the idea that you need to learn how to add things to your life, because you're not going to be able to add time, right? But you need to be able to reduce the things you're doing to allow yourself to focus. So instead of saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to add productivity routine that's going to help me study for 45 days. Instead of doing that, all that complicated stuff that you don't know if it's going to work or not, say, okay, instead of scrolling in the morning for 30 minutes, I'm going to do this. So reducing the distractions. It's not about adding, it's about reducing and getting rid of. The next thing I hear time and time again is everybody who made it used to just be a confused person who managed to figure it out. I've been realizing this with myself personally very recently, the last couple of days, but my mentor Anthony, he told me one time, he said, I'm not successful because I'm smarter than you. I just stuck with it for a longer amount of time and I managed to figure out all the problems. And I remember thinking, I'm like, that's pretty cool. You know, I mean, it didn't really resonate with me too much. But now I realize that a lot of people go from thing to thing and they never really get good at the thing they're doing because they assume that since they didn't do good on the first time, that means they failed. And since they failed, they have to do something else. But that's not how it works. You have to fail and stay with it and fix it and tweak it in order to get to the success. I find it very interesting that a lot of these so-called top of the top, the highly successful people, they say, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, a lot of them, they started something and they were completely clueless. And even now, they're doing something and they're not afraid to admit that they don't exactly know what they're doing, right? Somebody who's owning a company might not be the best in HR. He can say, I'm going to be honest, I don't know really what I'm doing, but I know how to hire people and I know how to get a good team and how to lead them. I just don't know the HR department specifically. So, first of all, admitting that you're confused and you don't know what you're doing is extremely good because the more you pretend that you're an expert, the more it's going to harm you. If you're going to pretend like you're an expert in this field, then that automatically means, oh, you know everything and you can't learn from anybody and nobody can learn from you either. If I was to sit here and say, oh, I'm the best podcaster, right? I'm the best of the best, which you guys know is not true at all. No, I'm just kidding. Not you guys get which you guys know is not true at all. But imagine I sat here and I said I'm the best podcaster in the world. That means that anybody who's quote unquote under me, I can't take advice from because I'm the best. Why would I take advice when I'm the best? Right? If I'm satisfied, right? I ate my food, I'm satisfied. I'm not hungry for more. But then on the contrary, there's a person who is always the idiot, right? He's always learning more, he's always failing, and people think, what is he doing? Like he's always asking the questions. Why is he asking so many questions? How does he never learn? How does he never know it? He's getting better from every question he asks, and those people are the people that end up doing the most. One of my favorite compliments that I've ever gotten on my show is people saying that I'm asking the right questions and I'm asking the questions that are going to make me successful. And me asking the questions to begin with is the thing that's going to propel me forward. And it's always been nice because I've always tried to ask questions. I don't want to pretend like I'm a genius. When I'm around my friends and they might ask me for some advice, maybe I'll give them some advice, but I'm more than happy to take advice or criticism back. It's not like I'm the best, ask me the question, and then go away, right? And then lastly, kind of going along with this idea of being clueless and figuring it out is dream big and don't be afraid to take risks, right? It might not work out, but what if it did? Being judged, failing at things, these are all things that happen along the way. There's no way that you can have a crazy big dream and not have people judge you, not fail in the thing. I can't sit here and pretend that everybody around me is a hater and people don't like me and all this because I have some very good people who support me and I'm infinitely grateful for them. I love them so much. But you will run into the times where there's a small little comment here or somebody not approving of you there, right? And you have to be able to go forward. And it really sucks. I mean, it sucks so much because it's this awkward feeling of like, oh my God, he's making fun of me and like he doesn't know how much work I put in, but I have to sit in this little corner. You kind of feel like you're a rat. You're in the somebody's pushed you against the corner and you kind of sometimes you just have to jump back at them and then you start saying things back that, you know, are rude and you might not mean at the moment and they're just it's a bad situation to be in, but you need to know how to control yourself. But other than that, it's just you're going to be judged, you're going to fail at things, but I'm having an episode that's going to release soon that's titled something along the lines of failing is not a bad thing. Failure should be the thing that you strive for. That's another topic of discussion, but It's important to dream big, guys. If you set yourself really small expectations, then that's all you're going to get. But if you set yourself unrealistic expectations, something that's absolutely crazy, and pretend you only get three-fourths of the way there, you're three-fourths of the way more than you would have been if you never dreamed to begin with. Something that I think about is if you want to get, I don't know, 100 sales in a month, for example, and that's your goal. It's a huge goal, 100 sales, and everybody's making fun of you, like 100 sales, dude. You couldn't even get 50 last I don't know, quarter, and then you don't hit your goal, but you get three-fourths of your goal. So you made 75 sales. So you've just increased your sales by 50% because you had less than 50 last quarter, and you got to 75, right? Did you really fail? Is the question. Because maybe you failed from a metric that you didn't hit your goal of sales, but you increased your overall sales in general. You guys understand what I'm saying? I want to drill that point too because it's so important for you guys to understand. If you set yourself big goals and you fall short, you might have gotten farther than you would have gotten if you would have set small goals. So why not set big goals to begin with? You guys get what I'm saying? That's everything I have for you guys. I love it so much. I really hope you found something from this episode, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. Peace.